this, that, no. Walking away from the Phoenix Hip Hop Festival, my thoughts are a little jumbled right now. I actually had a Souls of Mischief song that I ended up having pop up from my Apple Music, and it made me think, like, based on the festival, that particular with the lyrics and stuff. I was like, man, I wonder, if Souls of Mischief was up there when they had just first started, if I would have reacted to them the same way. Because, I love Souls of Mischief, and I love hieroglyphics, and even Delve. And it makes me delve into, the psyche of hip-hop. And I say that for myself, obviously, because I'm like, it goes back to what are we really doing? We're all doing art and creating the things that we find within our spirit and our souls to do. No pun intended with the Souls of Mischief. That actually just was something that came up. But it goes really back to, like, what are we really doing for the culture? And one of the posts that I actually saw on Instagram that I thought was real ill, I don't remember the group, unfortunately, but they were not just doing a canned food drive or coat drive. They actually were doing not only a performance, it was really something kind of unique and different. And I'm not going to lie, in the industry and the music or whatever, we have biters. I'd bite that idea. It's actually something that was really progressive and interesting, and I hadn't seen anything like it before. Seeing that we're coming towards the holidays, of course, there's a lot of drives and things, but this was really, really interesting. The ad was interesting. There was even music that went along with the particular thing. And it made me really think, like, that's actually actively doing something for the culture, for people, and building. And I miss that. Honestly, the only other thing that I've ever seen that was remotely like that is the Black Panther movement, with the programs that they had, the social programs that they had for the community. And now, those, most people don't realize, have actually been developed or adapted into, mainstream society. But with that being said, Wu-Tang has the food movement that I've seen more recently. I'm not too informed as to what that means, but as a whole, what are we doing for the culture? This particular hip-hop festival, in Phoenix Hip Hop Festival, one positive thing I can say is, growing up in hip-hop, there was, clubs and whatever, there was always fights, at clubs. So today was positive in that regard. There was, that's something you shouldn't be doing anyway, but there wasn't any interesting altercations or whatever, and so I'd say that's probably a positive thing to take away from that. In a positive note, it was good to see people doing their thing and doing something that they felt, whether I deemed it negative or, the energy not really, going towards something. It definitely, just like I was saying in the other day about Star Wars, it gives people a purpose. So, I was talking about New York hip-hop, or New York graffiti in particular, in the 70s, in one of my other videos, which had to do with Star Wars in particular. So it gives them a bit of a purpose outside of themselves, and that's something I can honestly relate to. And, hip-hop in a whole, the one thing that I think that most people can identify with is the fact that you can see people like Nipsey, you can see people like Tupac, let's see, Ice Cube, Ice-T. I'm pulling a lot of people from the West Coast right now. For me, it was Rakim, particularly Rakim. The Fugees, Black Moon, big ups to Black Moon, and Rockness Monster. He was actually at the festival today. That was honestly my highlight, because other than that, what are we really doing? But that's my particular, inside opinion as a commentator, editorial commentator of sorts in regards to hip-hop personality. So with that being said, that was the positive takeaway. Now, honestly, I really, I gotta say it. I wrote it. I gotta say it. I'm gonna say it again. Where did all the real spitters go? Question mark. Hashtag, where did all the real spitters go? one person in particular I am related to camp-wise. Definitely a real spitter. That goes without question, and gives me hope for people who are actually lyricists. There was one particular artist who called himself an MC, and that's cool. He was doing his thing. No love, no diss all love. It's really my thing. No diss all love. But like, he was trying way too hard. I actually took out my notebook, and it inspired me to write. Like, I wrote down some bars, if you will, some lines for the first time in a long time. But yeah, like, it really made me think, like, as far as Shia LaBeouf on Five Fingers of Death, he has more bars than most MCs that I've actually seen more recently. With the exception of my camp, of course. And again, I try not to be biased by any means, but I have somebody that's a real spitter that I know, that's a real lyricist and a real MC. Two, as a matter of fact, Garvey G. Look out for him. He's another one. That's a young, like, he reminds me of a young Shaheem, but he's like the next thing coming. So Shaheem the Rugged Child, just to clarify. So with that being said, the festival itself, man, again, I don't want to hate on Phoenix too much because it's a growing city. I'm walking back down to the grocery store on my way back to where I stay at, my apartment currently. And, the turnout was good for the festival. I honestly can't say, again, who am I to discern what is hip-hop and what wasn't, right? But I'm a real boom bap person. I'm a real backpacker of sorts. And at the same time, I also know there is a place and a lane for the diverseness that is quote-unquote rap and hip-hop. I just have a hope in my whole being that tells me it's gotta be bigger and better and deeper than that I just saw. And again, not to blame it on Phoenix, but maybe I blame it on Phoenix. I don't know. As I'm sitting there, I was comparing notes, if you will, to where I grew up in Northwest Indiana, and I used to go to Chicago, and we actually had real ciphers, we had real events, and it was in the 90s, so it was a different time too, But in that sense, I was wondering, if I were to go to like a different city and it was a different hip-hop festival, would it look the same or similar, or would it be different? And by different, I mean, again, is it just Phoenix? Is it the West Coast? Like, let's ask that question. What other hip-hop festivals have you been to, and what did they quote-unquote look like as far as, people turn out, artists and things like that? Were there real MCs? Like, even here they have a thing called ciphers, and again, no diss all love. It's for the community, and that's cool. But I really wasn't even seeing anybody breaking or anything, and they had the whole thing out. I gotta pause. Like, not even cardboard. They had the whole linoleum out, and of course, my heart gravitates towards that. It's cool. But I really didn't see anybody breaking. My highlight was literally Pharaoh Monch being played, and Rockness Monster from Helter Skelter in Boot Camp. Like, that was it. And the fact that it had pushed me to write. So with that being said, I mean, what are we really doing for the culture? Where is the culture really at as far as hip-hop? And is it really just conglomerated to a point from no return? These are my questions. I'd like answers. So maybe just like other reporters and journalists do, I'm going to go out in the world and find those answers. Because I know in my heart of hearts that no matter where I am, and the people that I surround myself with, especially in a camp, we're definitely underground, real boom bap, like real feel-good boom bap, like Busta Rhymes said, sort of heads. And so with that being said, again, I try not to be biased, and I have love in my heart for other artists that I grew up with. I say it, in my other video, Tupac raised me, basically. So one would say that he's not an MC by any means, but he has a book of poetry that I once have had, and he's a raw creative in himself. So I'm not one to judge the people that were doing their thing this evening. I just don't know that it builds towards anything. And is that necessary? Maybe it's just good for people to have fun. I guess. But again, it's bigger than hip hop, like literally. Like to quote Dead Prez, and it's bigger than hip hop. Literally, at some point, everything we do is just bigger than hip hop. Like even me as a creative and trying to get into where I want to be a director and things. That's one thing, but what am I giving back to life and to the culture and to society as a whole? I'd like to think that maybe just like me and Rakim, there'd be somebody that's out there in the world that needed me, just like I needed Rakim and Lauryn Hill. And I'm gonna be honest, how I feel like hip hop needs a MC that really stands out these days, and I'd like it to be me. I'm just gonna say that as a personality, but I gotta sharpen my bars. Iron sharpens iron. So even in saying that, 20 years ago, I literally stepped up on a stage and dropped the mic, and I hadn't picked it up since. I had a fear of what I was saying wasn't about anything, and I think that was always something that stuck with me. You gotta say something that means something. Gotta say something that means something is a Far Side lyric, and that's true. And that really brings it to the point of where I'm going with this video in particular. I think it's important to say something that means something. Even, and especially for me, Nipsey Hussle said something that meant something, and it got me to a point of motivation and pushing myself forward and seeing outside of my current situation and box to where I'm like, I can do it. And again, I think that's the thing about hip hop, is the accessibility. We idolize these personalities, and I think it's also because it gives us the idea and hope that we can be something greater than ourselves at some point. And that's probably one of the greatest things about hip hop, along with some other aspects. I think community is key, and I don't see that in hip hop right now. So again, these are my editorial commentating points. Please comment below. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you see in the world and in hip hop, and let's create a dialogue. I don't know that anybody else is doing this, so maybe it's my time and place to do that, and I'm claiming it. So with that being said, that's it. I'm a wrap. Again, for the culture, it's my hashtag. Hashtag it. Start creating some dialogues, but let's not talk about it. Let's literally be about it. What are you doing? That is literally getting back in your backwoods, like I like to say. For me, it's literally stepping outside and being creative. And so I can put myself in a position to where I can literally sustainably be able to give back, in essence, to people that have given to me. I've been given so much that it's time for me as a consumer to step into being a creative, honestly. So with that being said, it was good to see this hip hop festival from that lens, and see the consumer's perspective, so that I might be able to move forward with a little bit more intel, as it were. But that's it. That's a wrap for this video. This, that, new. Bringing back one love, so I'm gonna keep it with one love, and I'm out.